wanted me to do. And it's it's pretty awful.
Right?
Yeah.
It is. It's terrible. It's because you're facing all the shit you don't want to face, and it feels like it's gonna kill you. Did it come across that way?
Yeah. I basically
I can't handle it. I'm gonna die.
I went outside and there's a bunny running. I went outside and it feels like someone's coming to attack you.
Right? Isn't that crazy? That to me is like, holy shit. That to me is a really important thing to connect with, because it will make sense for why you're so crazy. I say that with love, right? Like it was a moment for me that's like, holy shit, no wonder I'm doing all this stuff. No wonder I'm impulsive. It's like, yeah, when that feeling is there underneath all this, everything you're doing is trying to repress that feeling because it's such a terrible feeling. It's a horror story. It's like living in horror. It's not just, oh, I'm scared. No, you're in freaking terror.
Yeah, and it was the same thing. I always wondered, why the hell am I so impulsive? Why can't I control spending or this?
Well, that's why. Do you see how it gave me so much clarity around I'm not crazy. I'm not anybody with that underneath it would do whatever it was that got rid of that feeling. Whatever it was. If it means you're drinking a beer, getting drunk, you're smoking a cigarette, you're compulsively shopping, you're cleaning the handle 50 times, you're going to church and praying to God for 5 hours, you'll do it.
Right.
It gives a lot of compassion to why people do the things they do.
All the vices out there.
Oh, yeah. No shit, right?
I know. So, yeah, I just basically, I was just standing there and I'm like, okay, I just jumped in the pool. and just, float, laid there.
Oh, good for you, so you could feel what it felt like.
I'm like, okay, just...
Imagine a big wave. Gonna topple you over.
Me, or if I'm gonna drown or what, I just laid there and then like you said, felt as big as the pool.
Well, and did you feel it was willful? Did you give it this you know what? Yeah. I have failed. And I'm willfully surrendering to these feelings. If a shark is gonna kill me, if I'm gonna get sucked under,
just lay there, just I give up,
surrender.
I
surrender.
Yeah.
And the admittance. Did you have the admittance in there with it? I admit failure. I admit this is done. Not just that it's done, that this war I have lost. I lost. Why I'm putting the white flag up. I admit it.
Yeah, I kind of felt that before. I think I was needing more of acceptance. I think I knew I'm a failure.
Were you judging it?
No.
Okay, that's good. So you had done that.
Literally, I know, I just couldn't accept it. I just, and worry, okay, so, all the things, like you said, what are people going to think, and I'm just I think it's definitely helped reading this book, because I'm I'm just going to, my new motto is just screw it,
Okay, you say yes to everything. Say yes to everything. You're going to be ugly. Yep. No one's going to like you. I am okay. I accept that. It's not just saying yes. It's actually saying if that is what the cost is for freedom, I will. That has to be. I'm okay with that. In relation to what I'm been living, that's not so bad. Right? Yeah. Whereas before, that is so bad. I got to go back into what I'm doing.
Yeah. People can think what they want to think, and I have no control over it. That's their issue,
and are you willing to suffer 24/7s for the momentary glimpses that they project towards you.
Right.
They get this momentary idea of, oh, she's doing great, she's thin, and then they move on. But guess what? You have to live in hell, torture for those moments, for them to get gratification, not you.
Yeah.
You do get a sense of, I did it, I am special, but you're living in hell.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you feel?
Oh, I mean, a lot, like, free, like you said, like, like it's...
A little sadness, a little calm after a storm.
Yeah.
It feels like the storm is there. It's just nothing. It just should feel kind of morose, a little morose, but not poor me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely understand like, why I feel sorry for yourself, because you're
trying to escape.
Yeah. This is
right
going to make your life worse.
Last ditch effort, isn't that? That's what I call it. It's the last ditch effort to be like, oh, you're being persecuted. You can't, it's just like, really?
Yeah, and with reading this book, like, it's...
Let me make sure I reference the book you're talking about. This is Dr. David R. Hawking's last book before he died. It's called Letting Go.
Yes. The Pathway of Surrender, and because I never really understood that.
No, he's way better than I am, by the way. He's like, because he's like amazing, but his way of describing this stuff, he is so good at it.
Well, because I was always that person that like would never. I would, obviously never faced any emotions
because you're afraid, you're scared,
And so that's why all the thoughts would come out. Like, I never understood that if all those thoughts are from the emotion that you're not facing. And I just thought I was cuckoo bird. I was just like all these thoughts, like, when you go to bed and you can't sleep because your brain's just going, and that was how I was all the time. And
I know.
All these thoughts were going through my head, like, and that's just because you're not letting it go. You're not facing the emotion.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're repressing it. You're denying it. And underneath all that is a belief you can't handle it. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. And so that's where the insecurity comes in. And the fact too, I've only read the first chapter of this book, so I'm going to come around and say I have not. I don't read. I've been studying his other books. This one is basically his teachings in an easy version of understanding. So I read the first chapter and was like, this is good. I've just been recommending it, and everybody's giving me great feedback around like, oh my God, Robin. So, is there any point in the book where he talks about fear of fear?
Oh, yes.
Awesome. Okay. Yes. I love how he describes, like, you feel it physically and you immediately start to do what you're doing. You're not even sitting through the physicality of it. You're afraid of the physicality of it, even though he talks about it's nowhere close to as bad as nausea. Like, compare being the physicality of fear to nausea. The physicality of fear to getting your finger cut. The physical experience of fear is like, okay, your heart's beating. You're getting cold sweats. You're breathing hard. All of that is super fucking easy.
It's the facing,
the physicality of fear is way better than a lot of different things that you experience and don't have the same psychological response to. Once you're willfully okay with the physical sensations of fear and you can sit in it, and then open yourself up to what's underneath. It could be your husband's cheating on you, right? I think I've used that that as a description of, if you're in denial about that occurring, you're going to not want to look at it because you're afraid, number one, you can't handle it. You're afraid of the change that would happen, right? That you won't tolerate it and you'll have to change, and you're afraid of not being able to change. There's underneath the physicality is an actual belief of I can't handle it. But once you're willing to face that fear, what it takes is courage. That courage pulls you up. It's like it's an act of competence. Even though you don't feel competent, you don't have competence. You have no sense of capacity. But the willfulness to surrender is in effect an act of courage. And it's blind courage. It's blind courage.
Yeah, like, okay, I mean, whatever it is has to be better than this. So.
And if it means I have to die, because ultimately that's the biggest threat, right? That's why you have to say, I'm willing to get murdered, because that will come up in these types of intense situations, right? You're at that point where you have to go out the bottom. That's what I call it. You're going to go out the bottom. You have to face death. You're not going to climb out of this through transcendental meditation.
No,
You've got to go into dying. Just die,
yeah.
And so you have to be willing. That's why I said everything's going to start coming up. You're going to be this. You have to say, I'm willful. I have courage enough to be abandoned. I have enough courage to live on the side of the mountain in a tent by myself because I'm completely shunned from society. I mean, that came up for me. That. Yeah. And I remember actually visualizing that in truth because I faced it and I went, oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Why am I afraid of that?
I know. I know.
But I never faced it. I always just said, that's horrible. Oh, no one will love me. My own family won't like me. And then it's like, oh, hold on a second. Let me really face this. Let me look at it head on. And the way I describe it is you got to breathe it into your lungs. You got to open your freaking soul to look at the truth. Is it really that bad? It's coming to you as a threat. And once you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, I can do that. So you say yes. You're going to die. You're going to be smushed into sand and blown away. Dust in the wind. I remember that one clearly. I remember thinking, but that's what's chasing me. So in the end, if it means that I am free from having to run, hide, repress, deny, then I have to accept that. And my answer was yes. And that's when I fully, completely let it go. All of it. I let go of Robin, the body. I believe I died. I had a feeling of, and it changed. It's like all of a sudden this space exists when you do that. I don't know if you did that. I don't think very many people are willing to do that, and it's understandable why.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like saying goodbye to the
everything. You're person, everything. Yeah. You're literally accepting death in the moment, and the death of the soul, death of existing, death of everything.
Of who you thought you were.
Everything. No, existence. Because it feels physically, it manifests as permanently. It's permanent. Did you ever feel that? Did you ever get that far?
Kind of. I mean, like it's definitely like that solemnness, I think, is like, okay, everything I knew or what I thought I knew is gone. It's no longer. Yeah, I mean, like
so there's a sense of permanence that when you go into that space. Dr. Hawkins refers it as this is why I love his work, because he's the only one that's ever described this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, he's describing that experience. Holy shit. I didn't even know. So he just uses the Buddhist terminology of the void. So if you ever read his work or you listen to his YouTube videos, he's like, this is the void. When the void appears, the void feels permanent. Feels like you're going to be permanently obliterated into sand and blown in the dust and the wind, and you'll never exist again. You're essentially surrendering your existence.
Yeah.
And the willfulness to do that. And it feels permanent. There is this, it is forever. It is almost like infinity. It is infinity. It is gone permanently. There is a permanence in the feeling of it. And so whether you've been there or done it or not doesn't, I don't care, but the idea is that you can get yourself into that space, and you may have in some context, some viewpoints, there may be parts that you haven't addressed in that area. For me, it was the whole everything. I just put everything in it. It wasn't just being fatter and letting go of thinnerness for me. It was every aspect of the self concept I had, including religious concept, family concept, concept of just my soul, my everything that I let go. So with that said, if you surrendered in that space thinness, you will feel very, very expansive. It should feel very expansive space of freedom.
Yeah, I feel like there's a whole new world of possibility. Like before, we're living in such a closed, sheltered life. Like you didn't allow to do whatever. Like,
well, there's no point anymore, so you should feel pointless.
Yeah,
but it's not a bad thing, right?
Right, like you don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a bad thing, but what's the point?
I can go do whatever.
Yeah,
can do whatever.
It's a weird feeling of being untethered. There's nothing attaching to you, although you may still have some you haven't addressed, like some certain concepts. Like I said, not everybody puts every concept of themselves in that space, but they are surrendering in that space permanently, forever. Body image. So it means that the body you're in can exist as it is, that you have no role, none, in how it is here.
Right.
How does that feel?
Oh yeah, like immense freedom. Yeah, like just
rebirth.
Huge space. Yeah, like
the burden is lifted, shackles have been taken off, the gate is open, you can leave now.
Yeah.
And you get to do what you've always dreamed you've wanted to do with the body as it is. And even fatter. You just have to open yourself up to every possibility you have under the circumstance. And that, for me, was like, well, if I'm reborn, if the potential of rebirth occurs, if I actually die, I hope that the life that I live, I want to just accept whatever body I'm in. I don't want to sit there and go, oh, it only has a few fingers, I'm pissed. Nope. I don't need to take control over the physical body. It's doing its own job. It's not my job. That takes away my space. I don't have a life. I can't live yet. So in the next life, if it is a gift I am given again, I will accept the body I am attached to immediately. What is it? Fingers, hands, legs. Okay, whatever it is. From there, I am now open to that expansive space to now create. I can create a life from the heart. I can do what brings me joy. And it can change. I have a whole lifetime, forever long that body supports it. I have that.
Yeah, I mean, what you obviously don't necessarily know what you want to do, or like.
No, because you're now kind of born again. It's like I am. I'm in a space of zero. Even though the body I'm in is 20 years old, that's how old I was at the time. I just turned 21 within like 2 weeks, a month or so of this occurring, right? And I was like, well, I feel like I'm a 4-year-old. Like, I don't even know what color I like. What color do I like? I've never asked the question. I've never actually honored my answer. I don't know. Yeah. I was like, well, I love yellow. But I really love blue too. Oh my God, I love red. But I don't know. So I've always never committed to my favorite color because there's so many. I don't know.
You're like, I like them all.
I do. And it changes. It's like, I don't know. It changes all the time. I'm such a non-committal, color lover.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard.
I love these colors. Look at these colors. Look at this. You'll see this. Look how brilliant that is. You should smell the candle.
Yeah, I've always liked blue.
That's a royal blue. That was
it's supposedly supposed to be correlates with sadness, but
what are you talking about?
I always like blue.
My daughter made me a vegetable fruit shake this morning. She's so sweet. This is what I drank out of. Look how pretty. That's not sadness. Whoever projected their own shit onto color should stop.
I know. Like red is anger.
Not to me. Look at this
apple,
one.
yeah.
Look at this cute little. That's, these beautiful little red flowers. I love the teal green. That's more green.
Yeah, red reminds me of roses, which are like love.
Oh.
Or heart,
Oh my God. All of it's beautiful. Anyways, our little berries.
Yeah.
Like little, hollyberry. The green and the little red. Geraniums. Yeah. Red geraniums. That reminds me of my mom. She had red geraniums. She loved red geraniums. Anyways. Red cherries.
Strawberries.
Oh my God, strawberries.
Yeah, it's in season right now. Like
so good.
They're like
so
the
good.
Best.
Do you notice how everything's illuminating for you too? Like just this conversation, like, oh my God, I'm not high, I swear to God. I promise. Okay.
Right, I know. Like you never think about these things.
You've never before, connected to the truth of whatever it is. Do we have to sit there and tell a strawberry it's not good enough because it's not red enough? It's not sweet enough for me, or do we just accept it? It's not in season. Now it's in season. So should we judge the off-season strawberries?
No.
Exactly. It's off-season. They're not,
But when that's off-season, something else is in season.
I know, right? And is that a bad thing?
No.
It's just funny. It really is. When you come out of it, you're like, well, I can appreciate it all. At different times, I don't have to make one wrong and one right. They're all right. Well, do what's right for you. Just do it. Just accept what that is. Accept that it is what it is, and it's okay. It's okay to tell the truth.
Yeah, you just go with the flow.
Yes, Vespa's here. Hi, Vespa. Sorry. Goodbye. Thank you so much, Elisa. One of my best friends here to walk the dogs because I'm not gonna be able to do it today. So.
Oh, that's nice.
And she's got another Vizsla like potato, and so Vespa's commonly here. She gets on my lap and licks my face. That's usually who it is when you guys see it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. Well, because I saw two of them. And
well,
I didn't know if you had two of them.
Well, I had Jana.
Jana, yeah.
Who I kind of rescued her. My angel. She is my angel. No, for reals. My kids think I'm so crazy. I'm like, no, she's a spirit guide now.
I know.
I'm like, whether it's true or not doesn't matter. Okay.
Yes.
I believe it, therefore it is. And Jana is like telling me what to tell people. She's the most loving animal I've ever had a relationship with.
Yeah, that's how I was with Sydney.
Right? See, you just need to make Sydney your angel. They do exist. I believe they do. Maybe she loved you so much she transcended the dog karma. She went straight to an angelic form, whatever that is. See?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the doctors I work with, he had a Vizsla.
Oh, they're pretty special. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. If I'm going to be narcissistic, it's going to be about my Vizsla. Okay?
Yeah.
They're the only real dogs.
He would run with her.
So. They're just very loving, and they're demonstrably loving. So their facial expressions, their ears, and I know all dogs are this way, but they're very much like they want you to know how much they love you. And it's all the freaking time. It's too much for a lot of people.
Her name was Samantha, I think, and she had kind of the same thing that happened with Sydney. I think is you basically I don't know if there was something in her spleen that just bled. And when I was reading about these hemangiomas, they say that they're common in the heart and the spleen.
Mm-hmm.
And
you don't know until you know.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
basically like get tired and then just die.
No.
No warning or no signs or anything.
Mm-mm.
Just kind of strange, but yeah. They're cute dogs. I know, I love dogs. Oh my gosh.
Man's best friend, and they're here, I swear to God, to teach us what love is all about.
I know, this puppy's like laying on my feet, like anywhere I move. And all of a sudden I'm looking down and he's laying on my feet.
Oh, I love it so much. They're just the sweetest. And they're so funny too. They're so, because we're so similar as mammals, and how we are as pack animals, that we bond. We really have this bond, and but it's like how you love your pet, for example, how I love Potato. I should probably love my husband like that.
I know. It is different, yeah.
I know, I've often told Mark, things would be so much easier if you had a tail and it wagged, okay?
I know.
Like, if your tail wagged when I walked in the room, I'd be like, oh, I love you too! Oh my God! But he doesn't have a tail that wags. So sometimes people are like, Robin, my tail is wagging.
I know. Cute floppy ears.
Right? They're soft. Why can't you be so soft, Mark? You just need those ears. Just make them like really soft.
Yes.
You see how these conversations go once you do this work? You talk about colors and plants and dogs and like how amazing the spring is and the smells and like, wow, trees are super cool. Like, how do they make those leaves so quickly? And where does that energy come from? And how do they start as those weird little things? And,
Yeah.
And are they aware that I'm aware that they're here? And are they aware that I'm aware they're aware?
Every morning there's a little frog that's swimming in the pool. It's a resident little frog.
That's pretty funny.
And then he sits on the pool scooter, that hose, that he sits on the hose. He's there he's there like every single day. He doesn't have a other little frog with him. He's just by himself.
Yeah, but you know what's pretty cool is he's with you guys. He probably doesn't, there is studies of awareness, right? That cells change with a human in the room. Like they behave differently with a human in the room than how they behave when the human is not in the room. They've seen differences. And how do you research that? And what does that change about all research? If a human is experienced in the room and looking at the consciousness that they're observing, it changes how it responds. That is mind-blowing. And that science is actually not brand new.
Yeah. It's funny because he's every single day he's in the same. Yeah, he's right there, and now he's.
You know what's funny is he's looking at you, going, and she's right there every day.
I know. Oh my goodness.
What's she doing there every day? And you know what I love about this type of, when you come out and you live in this space, right, where you're just allowing things to be, is you realize that frog has a purpose and it has an existence and it's worthy of respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
You let it just be. You let it be.
In the birds that make a nest behind the speakers.
You are so not in the same place right now.
They drive. I know. It used to drive me crazy.
Oh, they're so freaking amazing. I love watching birds. See, that was the one thing too in my out of body experience with that morbidly obese body is I just sat on the park bench and watched the birds. And I was like, oh my God, it doesn't really matter what body I'm in. That joy, watching the birds, is a gift that the body I'm in, which was at the time morbidly obese with all this weight, is giving me. It doesn't, the body I'm in, whether it's super fit or it's got one arm or I'm morbidly obese is still giving me what is important. What's important here? What's really important? Oh, that it is providing me a witness of this space on this planet. And I'm sitting here on a park bench witnessing and loving watching these birds and looking at the trees and the human activity. And it's like precious. It's so beautiful. Why does it matter? If I have to be thin, I can't be even present for this. I have to focus on my thinness, my fitness.
Right.
I have to worry about what I fucking ate. Really? You know, it just became so clear to me. It was a moment for me that was like, oh, holy shit. I'm not the body. This is not who I am. I'm just witnessing. I'm the witness of what's going on around me, and each body can provide you that. Why do you have to witness everything perfectly from the perfect body? Why do you have to wait? Why can't you just sit on a goddamn park bench and witness these birds and what they're doing? Which is really kind of interesting. Right? They're nesting and they're primping and it's doing all this work and they're doing these calls and there's this one bird who's angry chasing another bird and they're, you know, there's all this activity. Yesterday in my backyard, I was pulling weeds and I could hear these little, you know, you can hear all these little baby birds chirping and it's like, oh, the mother must have come back. And then they would stop and I would and then I'd hear them again. And I'm like, wow, that bird is working its ass off for those little babies. Or there's two, the mom and the dad.
Yeah.
How cool.
I know it's amazing how they build a nest when they have to like fly back and forth. Like, you know, and sometimes when I've like taken the nest down, there's like these little strings of paper. I'm like, where are they getting this?
Oh, no shit. Where are they finding it? And how did they know exactly how to tuck it in and primp it perfectly and get their little body in there and wiggle around? It's kind of like my little sunny bird. I had a yellow bird that was my mom's. It recently died. And it was sad. I think it had an egg that burst inside of it. It had some stuff coming out its little bum and she was, it was sad. And I kind of was like, I think she's dying. And she did die that night. I put her in her nest. So she at least died peacefully in her nest. But anyway, she used to primp her little nest. It was the cutest thing ever because I've related to her.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. They're running back and forth trying to find little twigs and you're running back and forth to the freaking mall, to the shopping center, going to get your food. You know, we're doing the same thing on a larger scale, people. Instead of wings, we have a car.
Right. Yeah.
Or a bike, you know. I'm mowing my lawn. What is that?
Yeah, you definitely don't have that anger, you know. I think like all that anger is from not facing the emotions.
And defending yourself. You're trying to defend yourself. You're using that animal energy to try to escape it with anger is manipulative, right? Can you see that now? Like, oh yeah. You're basically trying to make things do what you want them to do because you're calling on kind of like aggression to force it to happen. And it's like, come on, people.
And you're just, throwing a tantrum, you know?
Yeah, you're trying to force it because you're insecure and you're trying to hide that insecurity through anger. And, you know, when someone's angry at me and I think about it, I'm like, oh, I must not be doing what they want.
Right.
Or pointing out something they don't like.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you're threatening them somehow.
Exactly. And I've had clients become angry with me.
Oh, I could imagine, yeah.
Have you? Did you? I swear. Yes. A lot of times it's in those YouTube videos, they don't like my face. They don't like the way I look. They don't like the way I said that. They don't like that I went, oh my God, rolled my eyes. Even though what I just said was true.
Well, that's it. That's it. Is having to face the truth and accept. You know, it's hard to face the truth when you know, especially when you know you're wrong. You know. God,
but you're afraid, right? Underneath it is all that fear. And you feel like it'll kill you, and so you're like, I want my defense mechanism. Why are you saying I can't do that? Can't I be thin? What are you saying, Robin? I'm like, okay, we'll go for it.
And you get so defensive, you know.
Yeah, because you want to protect what is actually protecting you from those feelings. And it's like, I understand that. I get that. I did it too. I did it to the point where I'd rather just kill myself, right? So I'm not judging that. That's the truth. You're doing something. This idea that thinner will save you, will give you life, will get you relationships, will keep your marriage in place. You know, all those things you don't want to face or you're insecure and don't feel you can handle. It would make sense then why you would think that someone saying you really have to accept your obesity, even if you have these illnesses, is fucking crazy, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In the beginning, I thought there's no possible way.
Robin's nuts.
So, you know, yeah.
I am. It's true. It's true. I'm a little crazy.
I know. I told Chrissy we have to go to Idaho and visit her.
Oh my God, I would love that. You know what we could do is set up tents outside in the common area so that I get complaints from the community. But this is pretty fun. You guys have an open invite.
You know, she was like, I already looked up flights before. They're only like not that much. I'm
you know what we could do? We could set up a tent on the trampoline outside. We could have a fun weekend.
I know.
I'm kidding. I would take you guys to Stanley. What would be really fun is going down the middle fork of the Salmon on a guided river trip. They're just really freaking expensive.
Yeah, I've been on the Salmon before with my younger son's best friend.
What part?
They own a cabin in Island Park or something. Island Park? No,
I don't know. I'm not an expert on the Salmon River, except I've been down the middle fork, which is guided, and you have to actually go. Well, you don't have to go guided, but you have to. There's a lottery. They only let so many people through it. It's freaking unbelievable. It's an energy vortex of craziness. It's amazing.
This was, it was part of maybe it was a Snake River.
Well, the Snake River is Oregon, Washington.
Oh, okay. No, then obviously that's not it. It was the
Idaho.
Salmon then. Because I think it's called, the city is, I think it's called Island Park, but it's like.
You could be right. I just don't know.
It's like up from Pocatello. It was
Pocatello.
Real close. It was close to Yellowstone as we went into
Okay, so you're in the main. So that is the Lower Salmon.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's when I look back at my friends. Their canoe had flipped. They had to go over to the side, and I think I was telling you that. Like that was up there at their cabin.
Yeah. I love it, but I like California. It would be fun to go to LA. I love, where did I go for our 20th anniversary last summer? We went to, Newport Beach, and we stayed, I stayed in, that cute little man-made island, Balboa Island. Mm-hmm. We rented a VRBO there.
Yeah, I grew up in Huntington Beach. So I always I'd ride my bike down, take the little ferry across.
So fun. It's so cute. The little taffy shop, that was my favorite.
Oh, yeah, and the little, not like amusement park, but I mean like a little.
Yeah, it's good for kids and stuff.
They had like a fair. I think there's a little Ferris wheel or something there, but
I'm cracking up about this session. This is funny to me.
Huh?
This whole session is really entertaining. I'm assuming someone listening to this is going, what am I getting out of this session? This isn't helping me.
I know. Sorry, people. I know.
This is what happens when you recover. All of a sudden you're alive and you're living and you're talking about other things.
I know. Yeah, that would be fun. Have you been to San Diego before, right?
I've never been to San Diego.
You've never been to San Diego? Oh my gosh.
Nope. That would be cool too. See, I'm open to anything.
I mean, I live in the country part of San Diego.
I like the country too. I was raised in country. Wheat fields and rolling hills.
Yeah, we did.
Cow shit in the school.
We have
from the boots.
29 acres.
That's a lot.
I know. I mean, it's basically just a huge hillside, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's very peaceful, because there's no neighbors and stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of horses out here.
I love horses. I love horses, but I am so scared if I were to admit it to you. I am freaked out. I used to do 4-H for horse owners. but I didn't have a horse because I'm scared to death of horses. Because I feel like they know. They know. Stop that! They do know. I swear to God, and they
can
know.
Sense,
they know
everything.
What's going on. Totally, and not only that, but they'll kill you. Someone told me that. That might be why they're like they
can fuck you off.
will kill you. They'll come and just kick you in the face, and I was just like, oh. Here I am, not afraid to die, but if it's a horse, I'm running.
I know.
But I love them. They're so magical to me. There's something magical about just the way they are.
They're beautiful, yeah. But see, I love goats. Like, we used to have goats. Oh, I love goats. They're the cutest, playful, funny. They're so cute. Oh my God. Like, baby goats are just
this conversation, I'm not high. Are you high?
No, I am not high.
I know, I promise.
I have not been high for
I love baby goats. I don't know what it is about baby goats.
I love baby goats. And then we had like 6 goats at one time. We had a llama. I had 3 llamas.
Oh, llamas are cool. They actually are kind of funny. They've got a funny little... I remember when I was at home caretaking for my mom a couple years ago, and my dad and I would go for walks, and there was a little farm that had some llamas, and they wanted to come check us out. There were 2 of them, and they were like, oh, there they are. They'd run over and just be like, what are you doing? What's going on with you two? What's going on with you two?
Our llama was cute. His name was Groucho. He had these bushy eyebrows, these black eyebrows like Groucho Marx. He was cute. He was a cute llama.
They're so funny. I think they're funny animals. They have a sense of humor.
He tried to say, the coyotes kept getting my goats. It was awful. So
I love coyotes too, though. When I go out in those foothills, they're kind of scraggly little deviant animals.
Yeah,
trickers.
They kind of got on my bad list for killing my goats. But one time, my poor little Penny, my little girl goat, she would stick her head, like, the fence. We didn't have, like this was kind of a temporary pen, and so the fence wasn't, like, permanent, so it had the little squares, and she would stick her head in there, and she'd get her head stuck, like, she couldn't get it back out, and so she'd just sit there and, like, Rah! And I'd have to come and get her head stuck, Well, one morning, it was, like, early, it must have been early in the morning, and the llama obviously couldn't help her with this. So she got her head stuck, and I went out, and the coyotes, they ate her head.
Oh, and their little body was there. They didn't get her body. Oh, that poor thing.
Awful. I called my husband. I'm like, oh my God, they ate Penny. He's like, I'm on my way. Oh, it was awful.
And you know what? They're just trying to eat. They're like, oh, a meal.
I know. And then it was just so sad because the llama and the other 2 they were just standing there, like, staring at her, like I couldn't do anything because the llama, he can't, he's not going to go after
she probably died pretty quick when you think about head trauma,
Oh my God, I was just like, oh, that must have been so awful, but
she probably didn't know what was happening.
I know, nothing we could do.
It's a life cycle. I eat freaking cows and pork, and what else do I eat?
I will not eat goat. I will not eat goat or rabbit.
I know. I have a lot of compassion for these animals, but I am okay eating. I don't know. I can eat vegetables and dairy, and again, it comes down to the life cycle and where we place our ethics around it. And there's no harm in people that don't want to eat. They want to be vegan. They want to be vegetarian. I respect that. So there was I was actually going to tell you something about it. Oh, a wolverine one time.
Wolverine?
No, badger.
Oh.
Badger. I don't think Idaho has wolverines. No, they don't. They're a little more north. Because I'm on Boise's like desert and foothills of the mountains, so we're kind of more deserty though. Yeah. So there was a badger. Those animals are crazy. They don't have a filter. Yeah. They don't care. So I was in my car. So yeah, I think that's why I wasn't freaked out, but it did not give a shit. Other animals would turn and run and, not this badger. It was like, what you looking at? Mm-hmm. Like old man grumpiness. It was so amazing. And I remember just being like, you just respect it, right? You kind of respect that attitude, and you feel it. There's something about like, oh, you know what's going on. He is like, don't come even closer because I have no filter and I will hurt you.
Yeah, I don't
Grumpy.
think I've ever seen a badger.
Well, they just don't give a shit. Like, honey badger don't give a shit. Have you ever seen that? It's the funniest, the honey badger. But this was a badger current here, and that was interesting. That was an interesting moment for me in a badger because I could definitely sense that he was the old grumpy man with a gun in his back pocket, and he wasn't afraid to shoot me.
Are they like raccoons? Or no?
They're yeah, I think they're nocturnal. I don't know what. Yeah, maybe I don't know what they're. Maybe they're a pig. I don't know what type of mammal they are, but and if there are mammals, I think they're mammals. Yeah. Someone who knows can comment.
Yeah.
Clearly, I don't know, but it was pretty funny in my mind how, if I didn't have the car. If I wasn't in a bigger bot, I mean, I don't even think they cared. I think if I were to stop the car, they would have. He might have been like, yeah. I don't even care. They had no filter on it. There was nothing.
Speaking of that, the fear of fear, like I mean, I can handle the physicality right. of fear, but. When we went to Disneyland, we went again, for my husband's birthday. It was just my older son, myself, and my husband, because my younger son, speaking of fear, he has always been super afraid of any ride. So yeah. He chose to stay home on puppy duty. And, but I'm not afraid. There's no ride anyway at California Adventure, Disneyland, any of those that I'm afraid of, except that stupid, well, it was the Tower of Terror, but now it's Galaxy, Guardian of Galaxy.
Where you
ride.
fall.
Like, oh my God.
I couldn't do it. I have intense terror. I do. I have intense terror of heights, and I physically can't control it. It happens spontaneously, and the only way I work around it is to accept I'm going to die, which I've done before, so I know how to do it. So there's when I've gone on the Middle Fork of the Salmon, there's a couple places where you can cliff dive into the river. Cliff jump.
Oh.
And I want to do it because I feel like I'm existing and I'm living, but I have to accept that I will die when I do it so that I can just get past that terror.
Oh yeah. Literally.
There's been times I can't do it. I'm just I'm total paralyzed. I'm in total paralysis.
Because I had ridden that once and I freaked out. I was so scared and I told myself I'll never do it again. But because they changed it, I was like, oh, okay. It's the same. I know it's the same ride, but I want to see what they did inside. I want to see the difference. And oh my God.
And you did it?
Oh yes, and it was just as awful. I was like,
did you cry?
Awful. No, I didn't cry. But
I would have cried.
My husband was like, he's like, I was wondering what that screaming was, and then he's like, I realized it was you. Literally, I screamed so much, my voice was hoarse after. I was and the guy, afterwards,
in total terror.
The guy's like, are you okay? I'm like,
oh, yeah. I know. I would have cried. Oh, one time my husband took me to a ski hill. We went to Alta in Colorado. This was 19 years ago or 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago. I'm trying to think what year of our marriage we went. Anyways, he's an avid skier. He grew up skiing since he was really young, can handle backcountry, everything. He can do anything. And I had never skied before, and he gave me these racing skis and put me into some lessons and was like, oh, after 2 hours, took me out of the lessons with racing skis and took me up something. I cried and scooted down on my butt. Still he thinks it's funny. And cute. He thinks I'm cute. Yeah. He thinks it's cute when I'm like that.
Yeah, no.
And I'm just
it's not. It's an awful feeling. It's oh my gosh, yeah. It's
yeah, it is. It's wired. It's hardwired in there. My husband feels that way with snakes. I do not get that feeling with snakes.
Yeah, I guess it's different with everybody,
right? Whatever, for whatever reason, he feels that way with snakes. It's usually a belief about what the snake's going to do. He says to me, "Oh, a snake knows." Kind of how I feel about a horse. Oh, they know. And he thinks they're sneaky, and they're like, they're going to do something, and and that could be true. Why not give it the respect it deserves and go around it,
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with a snake as long as I know for sure it's not poisonous.
Even if it's, see, I don't have an issue with, I ran into a rattler snake. I was so fascinated. I wanted to take pictures. It was all coiled. I was like trying to get in on it, but you respect a snake. It's a snake and you respect it. You walk around. So it's kind of like how you respect people who are in a state of survival mode. You give them space.
Oh, see, we have rattlesnakes here, and they freak me out. Like one time, there was a baby one, like right. My kids were kind of little, and it was right in the walkway.
Oh, well, that's different. Now, when it comes to my kids, there's something in there that doesn't. I don't know how to turn it off.
I went and got a shovel and chopped his head off.
Poor little baby rattler snake.
I know. I'm like, I'm sorry, little thing, but I'm like, oh my god. Like, and then I think back, like.
Oh, that's what the mama bears think about humans around their little kids.
Oh, right.
Oh, I'm sorry, human. I'm just going to have to bite your head off.
Right. Exactly. It's the threat, yes.
And then I'm going to show my little cubs your body.
Oh, God. Oh, I know. It's insane.
I know. Life has got all sorts of shit that's going to happen. It's pretty cool to just be open to it.
Yeah, I definitely, obviously still, will need to work on the fear. I think that's huge. Like
You're here.
I'm like afraid of everything. Like, where my son gets it from.
Well, because you're modeling it. You're modeling what, fear comes from ultimately a sense that you can't handle it. That's really what it comes to. I can't handle heights. If I go into handling dying, I can handle it, right? So I have to presently go into, I can handle dying. I can handle this. I can handle that. So you just go into handling it. If you feel a sense of competence and you're not like, oh my God, your kid isn't going to be that way. I feel that way about ticks. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I can handle ticks, but I do clearly have. Potato one time got in a nest, and he had hundreds of baby ticks all over his eyes, face, ears, and I sat there and picked them all out and retched the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
And then, because I had that preventive stuff on it, he was like, got in our bed that night because I couldn't pick them all off, and I was like, oh, they're all latched. I'll come get them in the morning. Well, they were all crawling in my bed.
Oh my gosh.
And on the couch, oh yeah, ticks, baby ticks, gray ones, black ones, and they were like, tiny.
That would freak me out.
Oh my gosh. I had the heebie-jeebies for like weeks at a time. So now it's tick season, and I'm like, they're all over.
I know a girl that got Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And she was really sick. And so now that they scare me even more because, I'm like.
So you go into, if I get Lyme's disease,
Right.
You just have to accept it. So being afraid of it is like, you're just.
Right. She's okay.
There's a healthy amount of fear, right? To say maybe I should be checking for ticks. There's a healthy amount of fear. And then there's, I'm afraid of ticks, so I won't even go outside. And I have to be obsessed about it, right?
Right, yeah.
So I still go in I had a tick crawling up my neck just a couple days ago. I think it was on Potato, and Potato was on her couch, and I was on the couch, and then it crawled. So to get to my neck, it had to have been crawling up a lot, right?
Oh my gosh,
yeah. Oh. I still take them out in the foothills. It was the most disgusting, nastiest feeling ever. And I, again, had the heebie-jeebies. I still have been checking because I'm like, well, it should be fuller now if I have more ticks in my hand.
Oh, my gosh. Oh. I guess.
And if I have Lyme's disease, I have Lyme's disease. See how it's like, whatever. You got to just be present with what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to, this dog. God. I'm trying to fold the blanket and he's doing it.
Well, here's the thing. So here's what I want to prepare you for. You're going to have moments of this ease and presence with reality, and it could go away. And you'll realize, okay, I have to surrender that too. It's coming up now live. Instead of in a moment where I'm in my mind accepting what I don't know and what I do. I'm accepting the loss of what I know. There might be things out there you don't know, and it'll be present. It'll show up, and you'll know it when you know it. And now you've got to learn how to practice this live, meaning as something arises, you address it as it arises. Are you going to run away from this fears ever again the same way?
No, I know.
Right? It's like, well, if you want to suffer, if you want to keep on suffering, you can. Or you can address it as it arises in the presence of its existence. Then do it. And it kind of keeps you in this space, right? It doesn't mean you're immune to fear. It just means that you are willing to face it now. You have a sense of capacity. You have a sense of, I can handle this, whatever comes up as it arises. I will handle it as it arises. You release it live. You live in this space. And then sometimes you'll find that you didn't recognize that you were afraid of it and you were coping until you have residual problems. And then at that point, you're like, oh, I need to accept this here because I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's always everything has a solution. You know, like everything usually works its way out, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, 'cause I've always been afraid of, like, money, like financial stuff, and it's like, well, okay, just, you know, you always find a way.
And can you handle losing money? Can you handle that? Can you handle bad credit? Can you handle bankruptcy? I mean, put yourself into your fear. Go there. Go into your mind and go. You don't have to wait for it to happen to face it. You can just go into what you're afraid of with it, and then release yourself from it.
Yeah, I mean, you can always move. You can always, you know, like there's things you can do, and you just have to I think it was hard before because I was always so materialistic, you know, like so.
Well, afraid that you didn't have, maybe you lived in lacking. You needed enough. I needed more. You needed,
like you know, all the stuff that.
Fear of being without.
Matters,
fear of being without. Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, that really doesn't make you happy, and that really isn't what is important. So, you know, they're just things. They're just, you know, like.
Yeah, and they come and go. There's always next year's next year's stuff. All the stuff. More stuff.
And I mean, the house, like, you know, as long as it's shelter, it you know, it covers that second hierarchy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
You have heat. You have cooling. House, you know? Exactly. So always kind of stay in touch with that foundation of security, so it's always secure. Everything else becomes bonus. It's like fun. It's like, oh, if given the opportunity, sure, but I don't have to have it. I can give it away. I don't need it, so I can appreciate it without all these strings attached.
Yeah.
It can be what it is. If my son comes home and he throws a football and breaks this cute little thing that I gave to myself from my mom. This was a gift from my mom from me. So it's a candle, like this colorful candle. It's so funny. I still give myself presents from my mom, something I think she would give me. So if he breaks this, I'm okay if it goes away. It doesn't mean he broke my mom.
Right.
It's abundance. Yeah. This is like so cute, but it's not real. It's just a thing. It doesn't change anybody. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. See, I used to just be so caught up in all that. Like, I mean, I think it's.
Well, symbolism, right? You're symbolizing it. Like, that symbolizes something that I wish, like, it's like a feeling of connection to my mom. Maybe I'm in denial that she passed away. Who the fuck knows? I don't care. But.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it, right?
Yeah, I think I just need to just go, you know, day by day and practice.
Yes, moment by moment.
Practice, and just not think too much, you know, like Hawkins says, everyone's like regrets the past and just fears the future. No one ever lives, and I don't think I ever lived in the present, ever.
Well, because the present there was nothing happening.
Yeah.
You just look at the trees. You just think about little baby goats in the present.
Live in the present. Living in hell.
You're thinking about colors and oh my god, that's pretty.
I know, and it's
being a kid. It's like innocence. You're staying in innocence.
And like all I would want to do is like watch movies and watch TV because I would like.
Yeah,
like,
it's alternatives.
I felt like I would like I would live through these people's lives like it was freaking real or something. There's a freaking TV show. These people are actors. They are acting to make you like feel the way you're feeling. You know, like
yeah. And your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. It just says it's all real, and they really did love each other, and he was mean to her, and she survived it.
No, it's so crazy. My sister's always like, "It's not real." Like, it is like The Notebook. Oh my god.
I sobbed. I sobbed. It was so embarrassing on The Notebook. That movie was the most embarrassing moment of. I literally was sitting there. I couldn't keep my shit together. I can't handle movies. I am gonna admit that right now. I can't even handle it.
It was wonderful, but then I kind of like I remember feeling at the end like
depressed.
Yes, because I was like, well, I'll never have a marriage like that.
I felt that way after Somewhere in Time.
But it's like, okay, well,
have you seen that movie?
Why do I? Yes. With Rob,
oh yeah, that one I was like. The world is a terrible place.
But it's like, okay, and even if it is real, like if there's like are people that have that kind of love, whatever, you know, that doesn't mean that the love that my husband has for me is any less,
right? But because it's not glamorized. Like the whole point is to glamorize the whole thing. It's sentimentalized. Oh, your codependency. Here's my codependency on a movie.
I know. I mean, it is.
She needs him. He needs her.
A lot of it is fake. Like I watch some of these shows and they're like. These kind of like teeny bop, they're like high school shows, like with high school kids, and I'm like, there's no way any high school guy acts like that. Like, give me a break. Like seriously, like they don't.
Well, now we're adults with boys for children, okay?
Right. I'm like, there is no way that a high school guy has enough communication skills and maturity to act like that. Like,
and think beyond his penis.
Where I'm sitting there, I want to marry that kid.
Right?
I'm like, oh, please. Oh, my God.
That's hilarious.
I know. So stupid. It's like so crazy.
Well, good. Well, this was a fun conversation. It was way easier on me. I don't have a headache or anything.
I know. It's... Yes.
Okay. Well, just be okay if you go back into that space. You got to just accept where you're at and know, okay, well, if I go back into fear and I can't do it, Robin, I can't do it, that's okay. It just means you really need to go further into opening yourself up to what you can't do.
Yeah. I mean, at least I know now, like...
So easy. What you did the other day, was it that hard?
No.
But, I mean, it was, but it wasn't.
It was like with the dog, I mean, oh my God, it was kind of the same thing. It was awful, and then it was like, oh, okay, well,
it happened.
That wasn't that bad,
Once you accept it and you, go into what it is, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I could handle that. Oh, I didn't think I could, but when I just allowed it to happen, it was like that's all it took to do it.
Yeah, I used to just fight it, and like just like you said, like turn my head, avoid, put up the shield, like just any possible thing I could to just, and it's like that's why I think this book is really good because that's exactly what it talks about is doing that and
Would you recommend it to people who are struggling with this?
Oh, completely, yes.
See?
Especially people who, if you have a problem of not facing emotions, like because it goes through the defense mechanisms.
Yeah, repression, denial,
yes.
avoid,
I've been,
project,
I mean, I'm
blame,
huge avoidance and repression. Like that's what I've done my whole entire life. Like just stuffed everything down and used food to cope with it,
And don't forget weight loss, because the diet industry is a great example of a rescuer who says, don't accept it. We'll fix it for you. They're a defense mechanism, right? Like they're a shield. They're going to protect me from what you're not facing. you know.
Yes, I think I would use that as like I used the food to cope, you know, with all this.
With
this
your
avoidance.
Defense mechanism of dieting.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I would then I would be like, oh my God, now I gotta fix it. And then I would use the diet.
Use the diet to cope with.
Yes.
You got it. So it's just this crazy kind of mixture of different mechanisms. One defending you from the other, and the other protecting you from this one, and you're using both of them, and you're switching which weapon you want to use depending on what bias you want.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's like the drama triangle, multiple ones. Because at one point, and I remember explaining this to you at the very beginning of our work, how you're a victim of this. You're a victim of the diet, so you want your food, but then you're a victim of the weight, so you want the diet, and you're just flipping around different codependency drama triangles, just trying to protect yourself from what you're avoiding underneath it all, which is the shame of feeling inferior as a human being attached to body image. And that's just one of many.
Yeah, it just feels like you're going insane, like in that, like a tug of war. That's what I always felt like.
Yeah, which one's more important? My desire for food or my desire to be loved by people through thinness? Which one? Yeah. They're both important, right?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And then you got to go give one up to have the other, and then you got to get you right. It's like it's a terrible thing to wage two needs against each other.
Yeah, and when
that's why I call it a syndrome.
Like I was always, I always got what I wanted. I always found a way. I wanted what I wanted right now. And so when you're like that type of person, like that doesn't work.
Well, eventually you're gonna have problems, right?
You can't have them both, So you're like, damn, okay, I'll take this one, and then you're like, no, I want that one.
Yeah, well, I can't have both, so I deserve this over here. I'm gonna get that. So you're constantly.
You're like, oh, this sucks. No, I changed my mind. Okay, no, I want that. I mean, it's like it could be a matter of days, or it could be a matter of months. It just depends. Like.
Yeah, can you? So for you to get to this place, you had to sit in doing nothing. Because you had to not feed feed the tantrum. You wanted to lose weight. That would have been easy for you to go back on a diet, right? And that's what you always did. And for whatever reason, talking to Chrissy or whatever, you chose not to do it. And then all this shit started surfacing. Anger, rage, all the stuff you'd been repressing. Like the reality, what's underneath it. And it ultimately manifests as, but if I don't have my thinness, I will have lost my happiness, my life. And so that's the identity you have to sacrifice. Otherwise, you have to do what you're doing because your whole identity or survival mechanism is reliant on this thinness, and you'll never escape it.
Yeah, exactly. If you give in, you can't keep going back and forth.
You got it. So at some point, you have to surrender something. Which one is it going to be? Well, you're not going to surrender your food.
Right.
That's hardwired into your nature. So it's like you're going to have to give up your thinness. Well, and then you start unraveling these issues with food, right? So at this point, let's next time we talk, it's going to be where are you at? And if you're still in this space, we'll go into, okay, well, eating to hunger, because now it's appropriate to talk about what eating to hunger is. It isn't until you surrender the thinness. No.
Right. Yeah.
Do you see that now? Can you see why it would be irrelevant for us to even focus on eating to hunger until you've surrendered the idea of thin supremacy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because then you just use it as a diet,
Well, and there's tension and pressure, and you're still focusing on your weight. And how can you release and live with eating to hunger under that environment? It's really difficult.
You can't. Yeah. It's like you think oh, yeah, I'm doing it.
No, you're not. As your eyeballs on the scale. Oh, I'm curious to what I weigh. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I know. Like, it's crazy.
All right. Let me stop recording.